How's it going, everybody? Very special episode of Yankees Game Day. Today I'll be joined by MLB Yankees beat writer Bryan Hoch. We're going to be talking about Yankees trades. We're going to be talking about his new book, The Bronx Zoom. We'll be talking about Gerrit Cole and sticky substances, and what do you do with Giancarlo this weekend in Philadelphia? Let's get going.
I like that shirt.
Oh, appreciate it. Man, Seinfeld was the best, wasn't it?
Oh man, that's my guy.
Have you seen the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
Oh yeah. You know, I actually got to meet Jerry. He was on the baseball writers dinner dais right before the world went kablooey in 2019. Or I guess January 2020. So I actually got to talk to him and get a picture with him. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. I always thought that it would be awesome to do kind of like a Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee style podcast, but at a baseball game. Like, because there's 3 hours of baseball to watch. You could like get a lot of good conversation. So yeah, maybe that might be my next venture, but I might need to get some.
That's a good idea. It really is a good idea.
So congrats on the new book, man. I'm really excited to read it. Tell me about this project. Was it something that you had always planned to, do a book, or was it something that you had to call an audible because of the pandemic, or, how did this kind of come about?
Yeah, I wasn't planning to do a book on the 2020 Yankees, but when baseball shut down in March, I was in Tampa as part of spring training, and it didn't look for a long time like there was going to be a baseball season. For months there, I didn't think I was going to be walking into Yankee Stadium. And when they eventually started back up with summer camp, got that going, seemed to get through that okay, we're ready to get the season going. I said, if they can pull this off and actually play a season here this year, like, this is a story, this is a book. And there was so much else going on in the world with not only the pandemic, but social justice, Black Lives Matter, and the presidential election that nobody could take their eyes off. There was a lot going on, and it seemed to keep intersecting with baseball. And I said, there's enough here for a book. And but the key was they had to get through the 60-game season, which they did, which I thought was a remarkable achievement. Now, looking back at how difficult it was for everybody.
So I saw your interview with Sweeney Murdy, and you talked about how you covered sort of the Gerrit Cole negotiations. Without giving too much away, what did you learn from speaking with everyone who was involved in that about that whole pursuit and how that all went down?
The first thing that comes to my mind is how giddy Gerrit Cole was to talk with Andy Pettitte, and how important that was. What a good move that was for the Yankees to bring Andy Pettitte out to California, fly him out there, and have him be part of that, because the two of them just bonded like for 20 minutes, one-on-one, pitcher and pitcher, and everybody else kind of stood in the side just watching the magic happen. They didn't want to interrupt what was going on with Andy and Gerrit. And, Gerrit grew up a Yankee fan. This was his dream to be a Yankee. We all remember him hanging over the side at the 2001 World Series with the sign. And, the Yankees had their chances at him in 2008. They drafted him. He did not sign. They tried to trade for him again a few years later. They couldn't pull that off. So this is what Brian Cashman talked about, being the white whale. He wasn't going to let Moby Dick get away this time. And does putting Andy Pettitte on a plane, did that clinch it, or was it the 9 years and $324 million? I still think if Andy stayed home, Gerrit's probably a Yankee, but it was really cool, just a way to introduce him to that world. And I think that clinched it right there, that Gerrit was going to be a Yankee. The fact that he gushed about it. He called his friends after that and said, Andy Pettitte's number is in my cell phone. How cool is that? And so it was a pretty good introduction to his life in pinstripes.
He's been really great with the media since coming to the Yankees. Obviously, the other night was not his most shining, stellar moment. What do you make of his answer on the sticky substances? And do you think the Yankees should have prepared him better for that question? You had to know it was coming. Everybody in the room had to know it was coming.
Gerrit knew it was coming. He said, he'd been briefed on it. And I think he was caught off guard by the directness of it. Davidoff for the Post asked him point blank, have you used this sticky tack or spider tack? I'm sorry. Have you used the spider tack? And he didn't want to lie and be caught on camera with it. But I think that it's important to recognize that, as Aaron Judge said, 95% of the pitchers in the league are using something at this point. So I think it's incumbent on MLB, and it seems the way this is going is MLB is going to come down with a hammer. I don't know if it's going to be today, tomorrow, in a week, but they are going to try and go cold turkey. There's an amnesty period here where guys have been told, hey, if you're doing something, stop it right now because we're going to enforce this. And it's not just about Garrett Cole. It's not about Trevor Bauer or 2 or 3 of the most prominent pitchers in the league. I think that it needs to be across the board. They need to have enforcement of it if this is something they really want to do here. And the way that offense has been down, I think the fact we have the analytics that show that this actually does make a difference, I think it will change the game a little bit. I think you will see some offense come back, and that's probably a good thing because I'm tired of watching the strikeout, home run, walk baseball. It's fun to watch guys run around the bases and put the ball in play. That's the game we all grew up loving and fell in love with.
The Yankees have actually been swinging the bat a little bit better this week. Do you think it's a case of Minnesota just being that elixir like they have been for the Yankees lineup for decades now? Or do you think it might be guys starting to wake up? Or could it be possibly part of this whole spin rate and the substances coming off the ball? Do you think it's a combination of factors?
I would like to think that it's a combination of all of it, and it's not just that the terrible Twins are so bad that the Yankees are going to fatten up their numbers against them. Look, the Twins are headed nowhere this year. They're going to be in last place here, and they're not having a great year. But that being said, they've still got to make contact with the ball. They're major league players, and so I think the fact that the Yankees put up 17 runs in the first 2 games of the series, they had that heartbreaking loss. They were 3 outs away from a sweep of the Twins, one they really could have used there with Aroldis Chapman melting down in the 9th inning. I guess the better test is when they take this into Philadelphia and go up against Joe Girardi's Phillies for a couple of days, can they carry it there? And what I'm really curious about is when they go back to Buffalo, because that was a place where the Yankees did not want to play last year. The Blue Jays were a real pain in the neck for that team. And you thought at the end of 2020, all right, that's it. They never have to go back to Salem Field. And here we are. They're headed up to Buffalo once again. So I am curious to see how the rest of this trip goes, because the Yankees, we've seen that team that lost 8 out of 13, that I don't think was the real Yankees. I really don't. They pitching carried them through a lot of May, but it's hard for me to believe that they were going to hit that poorly though in the entire rest of the year.
Jim Bowden said that Brian Cashman, I think it was Jim Bowden, said that Brian Cashman texted him and said, and this is a quote, "We suck, but not for long." Do you think he was just implying that, hey, we're getting Severino back, we're getting Luke Voit back? Or do you think he was saying, well, I might have a little something on the burner here? What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, I didn't take it as that he had something on the burner. I took it more as though, yeah, there is reinforcements there, but also statistically, these guys cannot possibly continue being that poor for that long. And that's how I took it. But I guess, in a text message, you can read any number of things into one sentence there. I took it as they were underperforming. They were disappointing, but they had so many guys in the lineup under 200. Nobody seemed to be hitting for power outside of Aaron Judge, that could not possibly continue for the next 4 months. And, they got right, at least for 2 or 3 days during that trip to Minnesota. I guess the key is now the rest of this road trip, can they continue that, or are they going to go back into what we were seeing before?
So if you had to come up to bat, or got to come up to bat at Yankee Stadium, packed house, what's your intro music? What song do you pick?
Wow, that is an off the wall question. I have done that before. We have the media game every year, and they used to let us pick our walk-up music, and this is going to date me because we're talking 2008. That was the last time at the old stadium they let us pick it, and I had Motley Crue. Wild Side was my song then. I don't think that would be my song now, but I'm different now. I'm all grown up. I've got 2 little kids at home. I'm not a 22-year-old anymore, rocking out to Motley Crue in my Ford Mustang. So I guess it changes as life goes on here. I'll have to think about it. Probably something from the Springsteen catalog, I'm guessing.
What's the latest on Jason Dominguez, and who else is kind of worth keeping an eye on right now on the farm that you're hearing rumblings about?
Yeah, the latest on Dominguez, I just want to see him get into a game. Let's get him going. It's great that he's this physical specimen, and it's awesome watching him take BP. But I want to see him go up against some competition. And we were talking to Kevin Reese, the director of player development down there in Tampa, and he was saying that once he gets going, he's going to take off like a rocket. Well, I'm ready to watch the rocket take off, and so I know that they want to temper expectations and the fact that this kid's still a teenager and hasn't played in a pro game, but there's a quick way to fix that. You can't fix the teenage part, but you can fix the part that he hasn't played in a game. And so I think that that's going to come. He's going to probably debut in Tampa, my guess would be, at some point, so they can keep a close eye on him. Other guys in the farm system, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I know Peraza just got moved up. This is a guy who they think could be a shortstop of the future. He was in big league camp a little bit this spring. We got to see him. He was pretty impressive, actually. And I know that Aaron Boone and the coaching staff were gushing about him. Austin Wells is a guy who in this spring training really impressed coaches with his advanced approach. I remember that he was taking BP and asking questions on a backfield down at the Himes Avenue complex. And, Boone said that coaches were coming up to him and saying, who is this guy? He seems advanced for where he is. And college catcher who, his bat is going to carry him. He's earned comparisons to Kyle Schwarber, and so he might be that kind of guy going forward here. And then Davy Garcia, of course, off the top of my head, is pitching at AAA and knocking on the door of the big leagues. And it's been up and down for Davy. I wonder if 2020 was a normal year. I wonder how much time he would have gotten. Would he have even gotten been on the playoff roster, let alone started a playoff game in that empty ballpark series against the Rays, which, that one didn't turn out the way the Yankees hoped. But Garcia, I think, was ahead of schedule last year. And now this is a year where he can really kind of make up some ground and, play against competition and get those reps that he needs.
What's the latest on Luis Severino? When can the Yankee fans expect to see him back on the mound?
I think that Severino will be back in the rotation. If not late June, then early July. I really do believe he's going to beat a lot of those estimates back, because they were pretty vague with us. They've been saying June, July, or August. And now that you've got the clock going on him, he made his first start already. His next start's going to be up in the Northeast. They don't need to build him up to 100 pitches. Boone actually said that yesterday, that they're going to try and get him back somewhere around 70, 75 pitches and just continue building him each time out at the big league level, because they want to bring him up. This is a guy who is touching 96 to 98 in minor league games, and he's not going to be a finished product. He's not going to be all the way back, but can he be an upgrade over Michael King? Possibly. I would think that he should be. And so, I think that you're going to see Severino sooner rather than later. And I know that his first outing was something around 30 pitches. And so you figure you tack on another 15 this time, and then you tack on another 15. And so, 3 or 4 starts from now, he's very much in the mix to get called up.
Trade deadline is 6 weeks away. Who do you see the Yankees targeting? Have you heard anything? Can you give us any intel? Come on, we need some intel, man. Come on. What are you hearing on the grapevine there?
Well, if I'm Brian Cashman, the one thing I got to do is I got to trade for a center fielder. That is my must do, because I can make the case that Severino's coming back, so that'll help the rotation. I can make the case that it sounds like Luke Voigt is ahead of schedule, actually, and he could be back in about a week to 10 days, which is crazy. I didn't think with an oblique he would be out. He would be back that quickly. So they haven't gotten much production from first base. They haven't gotten much production from center field. I don't want to keep seeing the Brett Gardner, Tyler Wade, Aaron Judge platoon in center field. That is a Band-Aid. You're doing it because you have to do it at this point. And, Ryan Lamar is coming back, but that's not the answer either. They need to get somebody who can be that presence that they were expecting Aaron Hicks to be. And remember, Hicks started the year as their number 3 hitter. They were counting on him to have a big year. He obviously did not play well and then got injured, and that was the end of that. So I don't think they need to trade for an all-star center fielder. People keep flooding my mentions, as I'm sure you can imagine, with go trade for Charlie Blackmon or go trade for Ketel Marte in Arizona. Maybe that one actually does work, but I think they just need somebody that they're not running Brett Gardner out there for 140 games a year, because at this stage of his career, nothing against Brett, that's not what he was brought back to do. He was supposed to be in this part-time off the bench role, and it's unfair, I think, to keep putting him in center field. So they need somebody who can go run down some fly balls and contribute a little bit on offense. And they don't have to carry the offense, but they do have to be healthy and consistent.
Bryan, the UFO report from the military is coming out from the New York Times. What are your thoughts on these strange things? Are they technology, or do you think they might be from somewhere else?
You're just throwing me a curveball to see if I can answer it, which is really funny. I like that. I would like to think that there's something else out there in our universe. I mean, it would be pretty lonely if we're the only thing out there, right? So maybe, many, many light years away. I hope that somebody out there is a little more advanced than we are and has a better handle on things than we do, because as we've seen over the last year plus, there's a lot of room for improvement in the way we're handling the world here. So maybe somebody can give us some advice and help us out a little bit.
Yeah, the minute I heard inject disinfectant, I said, come get us. Come get us. The Bronx Zoom, great title for your book. It's available now. What's the preferred way that people can get it?
It's, everywhere books are sold. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, you can go to triumphbooks.com and order directly from them. And I'm really proud of the way it came out, because, there was so much going on last year that I said, if they can pull this off, there is definitely a story to be told here. And, this is not a team that won the World Series. It would have been a different book, I think, if they had. But in a lot of ways, it's almost better to tell the story, because it's not a championship story. It's a pandemic story. It's a story about the social justice and Black Lives Matter. It's a story about these ball players playing in the shadow of a presidential election that was very contentious and had a lot of strong opinions on both sides, including in that clubhouse. And so we get into all that in the book. And it's really a book. It's a baseball book, but it's also a book about 2020 and something that we all lived through, and a year unlike we've ever seen before, and hopefully we'll never see again. But it was definitely historic. You knew it in real time, and especially now, I got it right here on my desk. And when I picked this up and I'm kind of leafing through it, I'm like, wow, that happened. There was so much that, I wrote the book, and I'm already going back saying like, wow, I forgot about that. And so, hopefully readers will feel the same. And it definitely will bring back a lot of memories, and because we all were part of that and living it day by day by day.
That's one of those things about content creation. I've written a couple of books myself, and I create these videos and stuff. And after you kind of put it out of your mind, it's like it's cooking in your mind. And then after you put it out there, it's almost like it's wiped from the slate. You don't have to occupy any headspace with it anymore. So it is a weird feeling to go back and look at stuff that you've created and just be like, oh, wow, that I remember that now. It's like you completely pushed it out. One more question that I forgot to ask. Corey Kluber, he just got placed on the 60-day IL. We heard that he was having second and third opinions on the shoulder. Are there any updates on his condition? Is it better or worse than we thought? Can we expect him back when those 60 days are over?
Yeah, I thought he was cooked. I thought that was done. And, when he walked off the mound that day, then I heard second and third opinions. He went out to Los Angeles. He went to Texas. He's seeing all these guys. I said, there's no way this guy's coming back. But apparently it's much better than I thought it was going to be. And so he's playing catch. There's no guarantee that he's going to come back, but they are sticking to the same timetable that they gave us the day of the injury or shortly after, which was they said he's going to be shut down for about 4 weeks, then try and ramp back up, and then it'll be another 4 weeks to build back up there. So we're looking probably Severino is going to beat him back. There's no question about that, I think. But if Kluber can build back up and he can be in this rotation sometime in late July or during the month of August, that's a pretty good pickup. I think the fact that this is a guy who pitched a no-hitter and then disappeared the next start. But if he can come back and be that solid guy and jump in there, because who knows what the situation is going to be injury-wise with this Yankee rotation by August. I can't forecast it. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you that if you have a healthy Corey Kluber ready to come back, you'll find a way to get him a start.
Last question. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who wins the American League East?
Wow. At this point, preseason I said the Yankees, but at this point, looking at it's going to be tough to overtake Tampa Bay, I think. And, the Yankees have their work cut out for them. I did the math last night after the Chapman blown save, and they're on pace for 85 wins. That's not going to get it done. So, if they can get the offense going and start winning some games, they get on a really good streak here where they're winning an 8 out of 10. You can change the math there, but the way it looks right now, I think Tampa Bay is going to be tough to overtake. Boston is tougher than I expected them to be. Toronto is a pain in the neck for this team. And so the good news is Baltimore's not going anywhere. There'll be a soft pillow at the bottom of the division. But look, the Yankees definitely have to make up for some lost time here because they got off to a slow start. They've gone into another slide, which they seem to be coming out of. But is that the Twins effect or not? So, I think that if the Yankees are going to make the postseason and go deep, the product we've seen can't be the product going forward.
Yeah, 85 wins, that number just made my heart leap. I feel like if the Yankees win 85 games, there might be some people whose jobs could be on the line. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I get all the questions about Boone and Cashman, and I think that, the one, I guess, what I would say is Boone's going to have the rest of this year. I'd be shocked if they make any change. And Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner don't do the in-season thing anyway. Brian Cashman has never fired a manager or coach in season, and that's going all the way back to 1998. So, but I do think that Boone is, I don't want to say hot seat, but he's on the warm seat here because his contract's up after this year. And do you look at the entire span of his time in New York where he won 100 games back-to-back years and got the team to the postseason? And the pandemic year, I feel like we can just kind of, put that aside. That was completely different than anything. But this team here, the 2021 Yankees, this is a team that we all talked about winning the division, potentially winning a World Series, but, certainly one of the contenders. Las Vegas had them as favorites to win the American League, and Las Vegas doesn't mess things up. So, if the Yankees finish the year with 85 wins and are on the outside looking in, it might be time for a change. I wouldn't be shocked about that.
Brian, appreciate your time so much today. Go out and buy the Bronx Zoom, everybody. I can't wait to read it. Is it going to be on Audible?
That's a great question. I need to link up with my publisher about that. But look, if they want me to read the book, I will pick it up right here and start reading page 1 right now. I would be happy to have it out there on Audible.
Well, I got time. Let's go. No.
All right. Page 1, the Bronx Zoom inside the. Okay, just kidding.
Appreciate it, Brian.
You got it. Take care.
Take care, man. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. If you really enjoyed it, check out the swag section. We've got tons of great designs to support all your favorite Yankees. And if you simply cannot get enough Yankees content, check out the podcast version of this channel, The Frieze by NYY Recaps, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Derek. Thanks for watching.